It's metal for the masses. It's the only place that plays it harder, faster, and louder than anybody else on live365.com. I'm here joined once again by our lovable duo from the Obsidian Resurrection. They can go ahead and introduce themselves, starting with, the one that we see the most and talk to the most, their bass player.
Hey, it's me. I'm Josh. I'm the bassist. I slap the bass and it's about it.
And that's the gist of it. All right. And I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Danny, keyboard player / cello player. And thanks for having us, John.
You're welcome. First of all, it's an honor to have you guys back. It's been a very, 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 very long time since the last time I had you guys on to talk about just your band stuff. I had you guys on the last time to kind of hate Spotify, that was fun. We got to do that again because it's starting to get worse.
Don't get me started, man.
Well, listen, now they're starting to have AI artists come out, and I'm sure the streaming platforms are going to start loving that too. Because now they don't have to pay anybody. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. That's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about you guys, the Obsidian Resurrection.
Yay!
You guys, I don't want to say finally because it's like that implies that you guys have been dragging your feet, but you guys have new music coming out.
Yeah.
Yes, no? Okay. There.
Yeah, I mean,
eventually, as
Danny put it, it's finally going to be happening. We have a lot of new music coming out, and the 3 songs that we have on our demo on our Bandcamp and Spotify and all that, we're re-recording that. Those 3 songs are going to be on the album along with a bunch of new material. How long is it, Danny? The whole album itself is over an hour, right?
Yeah, when I last calculated it, I want to say it's going to be about 66 minutes.
Yeah.
Just over an hour,
70 minutes.
Roughly.
That's not bad at all. I know that you, Josh, have done bass work with Darren Daniluk of The Cage in Your Head. We actually just featured his album not too long ago on the show, which amazing album. Me, Myself, and Hyde, absolutely great stuff there. But to kind of hear more of your guys' work, because I'm only familiar with what you guys have out already, to hear more of what you guys can do, I'm actually pretty excited about it. So let's talk about it. What can we expect? What can you talk about? What can you not talk about? Like, let's hear it.
Well, before Dan and I dive into it, I'd like to say publicly thank you to Darren, because him having me helping with that song, Hurling Descent into Madness, that was fun. He's a great guy to work with. It really just happened spur of the moment. He was throwing some song ideas back and forth to me, wanting just feedback. And I was like, as I was listening, I was like, dude, I want to play bass on this song, dude. I got it all in my head as he's showing me these riffs, and I'm like, dude, can I please write some bass for your song? He's like, please do, man, please do. And we wrote that song. It took maybe about 3 or 4 days bouncing ideas back and forth, and we finally got it. And it was really fun working with him. That was around the same time I was working on that song from the band. I'm going to try and pronounce it correctly. It's Saul from Mexico. Joel, I believe is what he says. It's like, that's their, I guess the Mexican deity version of Cthulhu down there.
Okay.
Pronounced Joel, spelled Xoal. So I was actually writing 2 songs at the same time with both those bands, and working with both those guys is really fun. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Darren and Saul for that right now before Danny and I dive into it. Sorry, what was the question?
I said, well, you know what? That was a wonderful shout out. Hopefully Darren gets to hear it. But also, what went into this new album that you guys will eventually be releasing? What can you talk about? What can you let us know? And anything that you're allowed to divulge, just talk away.
Want to start, Danny?
Yeah, I don't even know how to start the answering process to that.
Well, how about we just kind of just say, like, just to start, what went into this? What I know you guys had work prior to this, but it was only like a song or maybe a couple of songs.
Well,
But
okay. So obviously we have the demo songs. We had another song that was complete. We just have I believe it was a garage recording of it, or a basement recording of it. And so we had a basement recording of that. And then in that recording, at some point, I recorded my keyboards over the basement recording and then leveled it out to where they kind of sounded together, which I'm so happy that I did that, going back to it. And when I record my stuff for the album coming up, use that as a reference to, okay, what was I playing? How did I play that? And I was able to get into an older software program called Cool Edit from way back in the early 2000s. And I have all those files still, right? So I was able to get in and isolate each of my tracks and then go back and listen to it, figure it out first in one key, which is played in the key of E, because we're playing in C now, right? So we went from E and then had to transpose it into C and then play it from there. So I was just really glad I had those recordings. So we have that song. We had another song that we just had guitars to, nothing but guitars. So with that one, like for me, I didn't have any keyboards recorded to it. No, I didn't have anything. I only remembered a few parts, and then everything else I just made up. I created during the recording process for that song for this album. So, and then another song, we had I think we had a basement recording of that one too, which was probably the last song we recorded as far as like trying to work on material at that time. So that one was like completely reworked. And again, no keyboards at all recorded. So I created all the keyboards for that song during the recording process as well. And then we have another song which was originally meant to be an instrumental.
Yeah.
But it was suggested that we put lyrics over the song because it wasn't built to be an instrumental, and so
Gotcha.
I think that was a good move. Yeah, it feels more fuller, more complete. So, and that song we had to bring back from memory. Like we had no recordings of it. We had to completely bring it back from memory. I don't know if we talked about this before with you, John. Maybe we have, maybe we didn't, but
I'd have to go back and listen to our first interview,
right.
But it's good to catch up.
Right. So yeah, because we were talking about this song, right? And then so on my way home from work one day, I had my phone and I recorded with my mouth. I mouthed all the guitar parts that I could remember in sequential. Yeah, no joke, dude. It was like, I think the recording itself was probably about 10 minutes in length. So, I mean, I didn't know what else to do, I don't play guitar.
Hey man, you got to do what you got to do, whatever works,
Yeah.
Creative process.
Yeah. And so Josh remembered some parts of it too. Our guitar player, Dimitri, remembered guitar parts as well. And then, so Dimitri added a guitar part to it. And then this version of the song that's on the album is different than that older version in some ways, so there is a riff in that older version that doesn't exist, that didn't exist then in that recording, but exists now. And actually that riff was one of the last riffs to be made up for that song, but there is no recording for it. But I remember the part to it,
Gotcha.
So yeah, so put that all together.
Time out. So yeah. we're talking about the older songs right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from this. because
All right.
I feel like I
Yeah.
feel like it's going in circles a lot right now because
You don't
now
want to go down on memory lane with us?
I don't mind going down on memory lane, but I feel like some listeners might start seeing the smoke rising. They're trying to follow this.
Right. Right.
All right, so
So
the gist of it is this: a lot of our songs were already written back in the day.
yes,
We're now just fine tuning them and putting the missing pieces together. And
right. So think of the old stuff as demos. You guys, have gone back, fine tuned what these are going to be. Danny
Yeah.
has mouthed all of the improvements in his car, and the album is now perfected. And what do we have now? Like, what can we expect now?
well, now we can't really release anything yet. I mean, there's a couple snippets on our social media pages that we've all sent little recordings of, because nothing's really done because the guitars are being recorded and worked on right now as we speak with Dirty Viking Audio. Because our album's finally gonna be getting ready for mastering. It's being edited and mixed, and the guitars are being recorded, and the vocals, stuff like that. So right now it's still just the demo music, unfortunately. But soon we're gonna have something to show. I don't know what the word "soon" is. Soon can mean anything. But for now, that's what we have. Unfortunately, it's just a waiting game right now, because we're dealing with everyone living in different states, everyone different schedules. Hell,
Yeah.
Carlos from Dirty Viking Audio, he's over in New Jersey, so, or is it New York?
Cool. I was
One of
about to
those.
say, oh, cool, he's over here.
It's either New Jersey
So I
or
can
New
go
York,
knock
I
on
can't
it.
remember.
I can go knock on his door and be like, hey, yo, so can you give me the scoop on the Obsidian Resurrection? Be
Right.
like, who the fuck are you?
Like, which song sucks? Which ones are good? Let me hear them all.
Sir, I don't know who you are. How did you find my
Right.
address?
Please leave my property now.
Please leave me alone.
Right.
But
I have
yeah,
called the police, sir. They are going to
just-
arrive. But no, I need you to tell me about the music, man. I'm sorry. We all talked over you, Josh. Say that last part again.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's just a waiting game, but everything is done. We just, yeah. To piggyback on
All right.
what Danny was saying about like what you asked us, what has gone into the music. It's a really, like, this time around, like, I think we can all agree is a really solid group effort. The weird thing is back in the day in the band room, we had our own way of clicking, but in this group chat of ours where we're working on this music, it feels like we get more done more quickly because it's like bam, 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 and we have an answer for our situations we're trying to fix with our songs, and it's really interesting. But yeah, it's been a really solid team effort to get these songs how we're all equally happy with them. Except for one song, Dimitri, I don't think we'll ever be happy with, but I think we got to the closest we can get him to be happy with.
Yeah.
There's a certain song that he really wanted to go the old school route with, but it really didn't leave any room for Daniel's orchestration. So
What is the old school route per se? Like what do you mean by that?
more old school death metal, old school thrash, like that's what our bread and butter is. But
Okay.
how we write as a unit, we try to leave room for orchestration so where Danny can write to it also, because the old school thrash and death is still there, but we want to incorporate that symphonic black metal as well,
I got you.
People, it's kind of like Emperor or Doom of Warger meets like Malevolent Creation or something like that,
So you say symphonic. Is there any melodic in there as well, or is it just mainly symphonic?
There's a lot of melodic in there, but not in the way of like melodic, not like power metal, but there is like melodic death metal styling in there as well. And
Yeah.
Danny is the reason for that. His orchestration really highlights it. And then there's been times we've gone back and changed some of the guitar parts to kind of complement his orchestration to even bring out more melody,
Gotcha. Danny, can I expect a cello solo at all?
Well, it depends on what your definition of solo is.
Like, am I going to hear this? Am I going to literally have the smoke from your playing the cello so hard come out of my earbuds?
Probably not. But it's not so much. I mean, there are a couple of parts where it's just my playing my cello and maybe a sound effect in the background or something else, but it's not like a lead, like a guitar or anything like that. You know, there's definitely it's definitely rhythmic. How do I want to say it? Rhythmic in nature, but it's just by
Gotcha.
myself. You know, it's not like
So theoretically, it's a solo.
true, but it's not like you know, like one of the parts is like a minute long, but it's not like it doesn't have the progression like a typical cello piece would, like if you were to hear a Bach piece, for example. It doesn't have that type of progression.
I was about to say, I was like, are we gonna have like some Bach or Beethoven groupies after you, or
No,
no?
not this go around. I want the parts I was talking about was obviously part of the addition to the new album because that stuff never existed back then. And then for just basically everything else, the parts that I'm playing cello over, they existed, but they were played on the keyboard. They were, you know, they were using a low string effect for that part. So really the cello is substituting that, you know. So
Gotcha.
yeah, just because, you know, I don't know. I didn't want to get super crazy with it. You know, it's more of a complementary instrument than anything else.
Yeah, what you play complements everything really well. Like listening, because just the other night I haven't done it in a while, but I sat down and I listened to all of our album, our demo that we sent to Carlos in order, and I was like, man, every time your cello comes in, the hair stand on my forearm, you know, I get those goosebumps.
I pray for the day where you take a stand and push everybody behind you and take the cello solo and yes.
What's that group called?
Open up this thine pit, you know.
Is it Apocalyptica? Is that what they're called?
Apocalyptica.
I think so.
Yeah, they got three cello players, I believe.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I do. Yep. I do remember. They didn't always have that sound though. They used to be like super heavy, but then they kind of went orchestral.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't listened to anything recent of them. I only have 2 CDs.
I remember the first time I heard them, Life Burns on Burnout Revenge. That was first time I listened. Probably the first time I heard any of those bands, honestly. Any of the mid 2000s shit was on Burnout Revenge on my PlayStation 2. But anyway, I don't want to make myself feel old.
Welcome to the club, young pup.
Oh, dude. It's terrible. 30s. I turned 30 in November. It's awful.
I turned 40 in September.
Well, you know what? Your time's passed. So it's downhill.
I have no comment.
Right. No, I'm sorry. It's awesome, man. I'm glad that you've survived that long. I'm amazed. I'm amazed I've survived this long. But I wish I was doing this 10 years ago. Would have made much more sense. But anyway, so that's cool. Actually, you know, I dig that you guys are doing like the orchestral kind of stuff in this music. I can't wait to hear it. So as far as bass stuff goes, what can we expect in this? You know, is it pretty much just by the book for you, Josh, or have you experimented with anything on this album?
I try to experiment as much as I can, really, because how I write, I try to bounce back and forth between following the guitars and following Danny's orchestration, which to me opens me up to way more outlets, and it helps me be more creative. Because how the music is written, it's mostly like riff wise, I'd say it's like 50-50. Dimitri and I, we work together on the songs, and then everything else comes together. Like we present the idea to the guys, they put in their, you know, their information, and we tweak things around until we got a song. When it comes to my individual playing, though, like I said, I bounce back and forth between following Dimitri and following Danny. It just really depends on how I'm feeling with each section and each riff. Because sometimes like a song will be done, but then I'll hear what Danny's playing and like, oh damn, I'm gonna change my bass part to follow Danny right here because he's really just killing it, and I want to elevate it with some bass behind it. But then sometimes, since it's kind of tricky being a symphonic band, you can't really embellish too much one way or another, because you can, if you like, for example, on Holy Retribution, I totally reworked my bass intro, and parts of it I had to change because I was realizing like, yeah, I really need the guitars to have more balls right here. So right here, I'm going to follow the guitars, because back in the day, I used to follow Danny completely. But, you know, I think it was Danny and Alex both mentioned, hey, like, follow the guitars right here because they need to be more beefy. And I agreed with him, like, yeah, the guitars need balls right here. So there's some parts where I had to go back and write bass to that wasn't there before, because back in the day, I was following Danny. So this time around, like I said, going back to what I was saying earlier, the team effort thing, I was listening to their feedback a lot more, and it's going to be interesting hearing my bass. If you really hone in on it, you'll hear me bouncing back and forth between guitar riff, orchestration, guitar riff, orchestration. You know, it's. I just hope you like it. It'll be interesting.
So I'll ask you both this: is there a theme on this album?
Yeah, there's always been a theme to this album. Danny actually a month or two ago found, because we wrote a whole story. Each song is going to be like actual concept album. We never really, we kind of sort of stuck with it. The overall theme of that concept of that story is there, but we aren't following it to a T like we thought we were going to. But the overall theme is, you know, basically man being responsible for the world and destruction within the world that they create, kind of like the sin of mankind, the fall of mankind to their own undoing kind of thing.
So it's not a happy ending kind of album.
No.
No.
There's no gold at the end of the rainbow. There's death and destruction.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I love how all of you took a collective sip as soon as I said that there. Like it was so bad that you had to, you know, we got to pour one out, got to take a sip.
You just had to be there, man. But
right.
Yeah, it's
PTSD, bro.
Concept album for sure. I don't know if it was you or with another podcaster, but as I was telling them the concept of what I just told you with the lyrics, I remembered that back in the day, I'm kind of glad we didn't stick with this, because back in the day I was like, I just realized something. This is very much like Spawn, the comic book. So I'm kind of glad we didn't stick with that, because that's kind of corny and lame.
Don't let Marvel Comics know that, because they're owned by Disney now. They'll come after you.
Spawn is not Marvel, dude.
It's not?
No.
I always thought he was.
Todd McFarlane's independent Image. It's the longest running independent comic book in history. Sorry.
Really? All right. I see. I always thought Spawn was Marvel Comics. That is it's interesting to note. I'm more of a Batman guy, DC Comics. I really wish that they'd get their live action shit down, but they can't. But their animated stuff's fun.
Yeah. DC's good with animated, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you have anything to add to any of that, Danny? You kind of just said you tried.
Yeah, I mean, with the demo songs, for example, I think we tried to make a storyline out of it, like a timeline, chronological timeline, but it's not. There's no timeline of events. Like there's a thing, but each song can stand on its own, thematically wise. You know, so there's like a common theme throughout, and it's not like a continuous story from one song to the next, to the next, to the next. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
tried, we kind of had that idea. We had that idea back then, but lyrically, it's just not the way it worked out. Like we had the lyrics written, and then we tried to somehow come up with an idea of making the connection between this song
Yeah.
and this song. But it's like you look, but then you read, it's like, you know what? It's not. There's no storyline. I mean, there's no continuous storyline from one song. You know, common themes, but that's it.
Gotcha.
That's about it.
So I think, Josh, you told me that there either is an album title, but you can't reveal it, or there is no album title yet. But all the artwork for the album is done by hand painted by your drummer Alex. I have not not gotten to see any of it yet. Is any of it out?
It's hand painted by Alex's drummer, Alex's dad. He's a phenomenal painter. I myself have 7 of his pieces in my home, one of which he painted personally for me, 2 of which actually. So he's really talented. But yeah, the artwork is done. Let me just go through a checklist of what is done. Songs are written, lyrics are done, artwork is done. Yeah, we do have an album title, but we're not revealing it yet because we're gonna kind of be dicks and reveal a little bit at a time the closer the album gets to going in for mastering, you know.
I think I have a guess as to half of the album title.
half of the album title.
Yes, by the Obsidian Resurrection.
What's your guess?
By the Obsidian Resurrection.
Oh, that's cheating. But yeah, all will be revealed more in time. Like, just gotta bear with us. It's a long process, man. Like, we thought we were gonna go with this album a year ago, and it's just not being. We just not submitted it for being edited and mixing and all that stuff. It's hard. Everyone's got different schedules, but yeah, album title is done. Long story short, album title is ready, but I can't reveal it yet.
Songs
Gotcha.
have titles. That's about it.
Speaking of, you know, you guys have talked about your other members of the band. How have they been faring with the writing process of this album? Because I've only gotten to talk to you guys. I don't think I've ever gotten to meet the other members of this band, so I really don't get to pry their brains and ask them these questions. So how have they been doing?
Yeah, Alex has been done for, gosh, he got his stuff done
First,
that summer. Really, I think it was that summer of 2021.
So he's just been waiting.
yeah,
Pretty much. Yeah, he's like, but he's a,
Damn.
you know, he's you know, he's got other music that he does. You know, he has his own band, solo band, Lunar. So he has that. He'll drum for other bands as well, should they need a drummer for studio work. You know, so he's always moving forward with his music. His music, that's what he does, basically. You know, so it's pretty much his life. That's how he makes a living, is his music. So I mean, he's a drummer for Helium Prime. Like I said, he's done a bunch of other guest appearances for other bands and whatnot. So, and then Dimitri, he's got 6 Million Dead. So
6 million bands.
6 Million Dead.
Oh, gotcha.
So down there in Arizona.
R.I.P.
Yeah, so he's got that going for him. But I mean, we all still talk though. We still communicate, you know, whatever, you know, especially since we also have Costa doing guitar solos for us. So we've been trying to, you know, for each song, trying to figure out, okay, where do we want to solo? Where do we want to solo? Just kind of working things out, you know.
Gotcha.
yeah. That's kind of where we're at right now in terms of the recording process is getting the guitars done, and like Danny mentioned, our friend Costa from the band Hatriot, we're figuring out where we want guitar solos, how we want them to sound, things like that. And he's been kicking ass so far, but we're taking a break because we're wanting to wait till the songs are recorded, so he can get the full feel of the songs. Because he's not a member of the band, he doesn't know the material completely. Like, he knows the old material somewhat because he used to go to a lot of our shows back in the day, but he doesn't know the new material. So he wants to wait till the guitars are completed before he actually gets balls to the wall and gets down to the nitty gritty and get solos actually completed. He's been sending us his ideas so far, and what he's been sending us to check out. I've been keeping all the files just because he's got some good stuff in each file he's sending us. So he's been kicking some butt, but we're waiting till the guitars are done to get the finalized version because we really want.
I think we're actually waiting for vocals to finish.
What's that?
I think we're actually waiting for vocals to be recorded.
That's right. We talked about that last week. That's right.
Yeah. Just because it's with some of the few of the songs where vocals were never recorded too. We don't. Even for us, it's like, are vocals supposed to be here or they're not supposed to be here? He's gonna put a solo here. It would just be easier once vocals are done.
Yeah.
We come back and work on guitar solos, because we don't want a guitar solo over vocals. I mean, yeah, you can get away with it every once in a great while, but you don't want to run into that problem where you have a badass solo over riff and come to find out, oh, Dimitri has vocals over that part. Well, then that's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Another question that I have. So obviously, Josh, you're the bass player, Danny,
Sometimes.
cello. Yeah. Danny, cello, keyboardist. Has any of your equipment changed at all since the last time we talked?
Yeah. I treated myself last Christmas. There's a bass, Justin Chancellor's bass. Hey, I was playing it right now. I'll show it to you. I got it, and it was on sale for Christmas last year. It's a rather expensive bass, but got it on sale for half off. This is what Justin Chancellor plays with Tool.
Nice.
Very, very powerful pickups. It's not on this album, unfortunately, because I didn't get it. I finished my recordings, then I bought this because it was on sale. You do hear it on the song I did with the Cage in Your Head and for Joel. But this thing, let me tell you, my friend Brian, who I recorded my bass with, he's in the band Nordic Frost. He recorded my bass for me. He's also going to be doing the album artwork layout for our album, for the design and everything. But when he was recording this, the very first note I hit, he took off his headphones and he was like, "How much did you pay for this?" I was like, $500. He's like, "How much was this originally?" I was like, $1,400. He's like, "It's still on sale." I was like, "Yeah, for 3 more days, I'm buying one." He said this was like the deepest sounding tone he's ever heard. And I was like, right on.
That's amazing. What was the brand?
This one is a Soundgear SDGR. Let's see. This is a SR300E from Soundgear.
Nice. I just got a brand new Omen 4 Elite from Schecter not too long ago, and coming from a Fender to that, I'm just blown away by how much better this bass is than the Frankenstein build I was using. It was a Fender jazz bass and a P bass neck that had frets, but all the frets were pulled off to make it fretless.
Wow.
It's a literal Frankenstein build, and I just taught myself, how to play bass from the time I was like 12 on that, and that's been my only bass guitar for up until I bought my new bass this year. So it's been a while. I'm 29, so from 12 to 29 I've just been kind of playing on the same rickety old thing that's held up as best it can. but it's nice.
I mean,
It's
hell,
it,
at least you upgraded, on this album.
finally.
On this album, since it's been so long, I didn't have any gear. I was straight up using Brian's bass in his recording studio. So that's when I was like, dude, I need my own bass again. I miss this. But
Yeah.
now the bass you bought, is that the one you sent me? That you texted me a picture of?
Yeah, it's that it's like Omen 4 Elite, like kind of like I want to say like a dark cherry red, from
Nice.
some angles it'll look black, some angles it'll, you can see the red. I'm working
You know
on
how
saving
the
up.
light shines on it? How light
Yep.
hits it?
I'm working on saving up right now. I want to buy a cabinet, but it's not like a full cabinet just because I don't want to, piss off everybody in the area where I'm living.
Yeah.
The one I'm looking at, it's kind of like a mini. It's like a stack cabinet. It's got a head and the cabinet, but it's like miniature. I just forget what brand it is.
It's a practice kit.
Pretty much, where it still has the head, it still has the cat. It's a cabinet, but I think they call it just like a mini cabinet.
Mhm.
But it's still like probably like up to my kneecap or just a little bit higher than that. So it's not ridiculous. I'll still get some nice sound out of it, but I won't be able to go like play shows with it because I said this earlier in the year that I want to eventually start like a hard punk metal band, but part of that is just getting gear together, and then the next part is writing shit out and finding people to play with. But yeah, it's definitely good getting new gear. Danny, I saw the head nod, brother, when we're all talking about new gear. What can you report, sir?
Nothing new, man. I have the same stuff, dude. Still have my Nord keyboard, my Triton LE, Korg, which is that's my main keyboard that I use, and then my Yamaha cello and electric cello, that is, and that's pretty much it, man. Nothing else has changed. I don't know when or if I'll buy something new. I just don't know. You know what I would really like is a stand-up piano. I've always
That'd be
wanted.
nice.
I've never owned one before. I
You're
don't
talking like a grand piano or like those
No.
ones?
No, it's a stand-up
Just a
piano. It's the
stand-up?
one that you put up against the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a place here. I think there's a place in Seattle that they refurbish old upright pianos. What's called upright pianos.
Yeah.
I think for free, or they deliver for free, or something like that. Super cheap, if not free. I've seen like online. I'll see ads.
I mean, hey, if you ever want to take a road trip over to New Jersey, I have a stand-up piano that I think we're getting rid of here at the home base. And
Road trip.
if that's the case, I mean, sure, you can drive over here with the U-Haul and freaking take that sumbitch, because all it is it's just here in the hallway, just hold, not really being played,
Yeah, those things, man. Those things are beastly to move too. You got to have like several.
Oh,
people.
this one's solid wood, bro, and it's just there's not like, at least with the grand pianos, they have the common decency to put wheels on the fucking things.
Not uprights.
No, uprights is just like, all right, here's
Good
like
luck.
you need like a couple Arnold Schwarzeneggers, a couple Sylvester Stallones, and then you got to move the thing out.
And hope you don't have to go up and down stairs.
Well, that's a blessing, because we live here in a rancher, so it's just like,
nice.
If you do ever want to take that road trip, just let me know, and
cool.
you can have an upright piano, because it's not doing me any good here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Somebody's gonna listen to this interview and hit me up out of the blue. It's like, do you still have that piano? Like,
right.
You never know.
right.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I it would be nice. I would love to hear you get an upright piano, and just so that you can add piano to the Obsidian Resurrection. So then we would have cello.
Well, I do.
Actual. Well, I know, but a keyboard. I feel like there's a keyboards sound nice, but it's like an electric sound, you know?
Yeah, it it's yeah, because there's a couple. There's on one of our songs I use piano, but it's a plugin
Yeah.
that I use, which it sounds nice. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't sound really artificial at all.
Gotcha.
With my chord that I use, I typically have like an effect behind it, like a pad, like it's a synthesizer pad or whatever, really soft. And it kind of adds more, a lot of atmosphere and depth to the piano sound. And so, I don't, I use that appropriately. It's not like overkill or anything like that. Um, so, I mean, I don't think you're gonna know. And
Gotcha.
I think if you hear it, you won't know if it's from a keyboard, electric keyboard, or from an actual piano. Well, I'm gonna take that back. You would, because you're not gonna hear the actual hammers of a piano hammering on the strings, or you're not gonna get the acoustic nuances, if you will.
Right.
Just like with my cello, you're not gonna get any of the acoustic nuances you would if I was playing an acoustic cello with a mic hooked
Yeah.
up. You're not going to hear the bowing, the strings. You're not going to hear, but that's not the point. The point is to get that sound for
Mhm.
both, for both the
Gotcha.
piano and the cello. And plus, if I wanted to actually record an acoustic cello, A, I would have to get one. B, I'd have to go to a specialized studio for that. You can't just record that anymore. You got to go to some place where it's set up like that, which is why when professionals, when they record, they, like in Europe, for example, you go to a cathedral. You go to a cathedral and you record your cello because it's wood. There's a lot of wood involved, right? In the construction on the interior of cathedral, and so that's what really makes a cello sound great. Is that ambience that is created when you're recording a type of an atmosphere.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, that's. But
I mean,
now,
I genuinely didn't know any of that. So it's just like, that's awesome. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm learning so much
I
about,
was sitting there learning myself.
right. I'm just like, you have to go to a different place to record.
I will
like if
say
I was
this
trying to do it
about
in my room, in my this music room here, it's not gonna. I probably won't get the sound that I want unless you do
Yeah.
like a lot of editing. So yeah, and it's just I'm not gonna do that. It's too much of a hassle.
I
It's just
do have one question for you. Your keyboard, does it have like, because I know like when I used to, and these are, granted, this is a long time ago, technology's improved. And, I know a long time ago, like when I would take like music classes, like back in like high school or like elementary school and stuff like that, we would have like the keyboards, but you could like change what the sound was. So like you could have classic piano, you could have like a pipe organ, but then you
Yeah.
had like some of like the more like sillier things like quacking ducks.
yeah.
I'm wondering, does yours have that?
So my chord does not. It doesn't have anything like that. But I have an older keyboard.
That does.
One of my first. It's actually my first keyboard that I've owned that I still have. It's a Yamaha PSR 540. It has a floppy disk drive in it, dude. You put the floppy disk in, and you can record tracks onto it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no joke. So
Can you guys like next April Fool's Day, like, can you record your like a part of like one of your songs just
Using, like,
as using
ducks.
like not even
Duck.
just ducks, but just like think of the most out of the world sound you could possibly, like the funniest sounds you could think of, and
probably-
trains, dogs, cats.
just something.
I've got
Just
there's all kinds of like weird, like goofy ass effects on this little keyboard here, but I haven't set up for my son to play on, because whenever I would record in here or just play on my keyboard, he comes over here next to me, and he turns it on. He starts, playing.
bam, 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 bam.
James, you gotta turn it down, man. Turn it down. I'm trying to listen. I got
Yeah.
my earphones on, whatever. So he does that, and he'll turn it back up. I go, dude, you gotta turn it down, man. Turn it down. So then he'll switch the effects on there, and yeah, it's fun for him. Someday I'll get him more involved. But I mean, he's 3.5. What do you want?
What
You know?
do you want? Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
That's
quick
funny,
things
though.
I want to say before we jump on to the next question. A, I like Danny's sound on his keyboards because it's very old school, so I wouldn't change it for the world.
I wouldn't either. Nope.
And B, if our album isn't done and it's not done by next April Fool's Day, I'm done. I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, you did say in the beginning of the interview that soon could mean anything. So soon could mean between now and next April,
You're
Very
right.
true.
It
You're
could.
right.
It's
You're
soon.
right. You're right.
It's right around the corner. It's
It'll
already
be
August.
Soon. Can't tell you when, but soon.
Right.
I mean, realistically, we're hoping for what, this winter? Is that what we're trying for?
Well, I mean, I think best case scenario would be maybe December, but honestly, dude, man, no. I think 2023 is, we got to look. 2024 is where way more realistic because
I'll have to change our bio again.
Because
Well,
I mean,
you
still,
said Josh is saying winter, but Danny, I know you know what a winter is. You're a little bit farther north. I don't know if he knows what winter is. He's down there in Southern California where it's, what is snow? What is the cold? It's like, oh God, it's 70 degrees. Let me go get my winter jacket.
Yeah, they have 2 months of winter down there, and that's it.
I bought a trench coat because I've always wanted one, and I haven't
wear it
worn it because it's never cold enough.
Are you trying to be like the Crow?
No, I've just always wanted a trench coat. And you know what? I look damn good in it too.
I don't know, sir. I'm gonna have to ask you some questions why a middle-aged white man would want a trench coat.
I have a trench coat. I had mine since I was in my 20s.
It's more like a duster.
Yeah.
Hello, FBI.
Not going.
I found.
We're not going that route. I might get thrown into some sort of gulag.
Yeah.
Joe Biden, we got him.
Uh-oh. Who's
Metal
that?
Metal for the Masses was just a government ploy this entire time to catch Josh.
Right.
I knew you're the one who made that Facebook post.
I knew it was you.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, what a ploy that would be. But anyway,
dude, what's new with you, John?
With me? Oh man. Well, I did say that I got the bass guitar. Yeah. I've made a couple job changes, but primarily the new job that I got is all right. It's a lot more manageable with with my life and my needs, and I'm not hating every second of working there like I was the job before. It makes doing this a lot more fun. I just got the news that we're actually going to be moving from 7 to 7 because right now I work like 12:30 to 9, which is why we're doing this at we started this at like 10 o'clock my time at night because I literally just got home. But now we're changing it from me working 12:30 to 9. I'd work like 10:30 to 7.
Okay.
So I actually get to come home and have more of a life. So actually announcing it right here on this interview, Metal for the Masses is actually going to go back to 9 to 11 on weekday nights. So it'll actually all 3 nights of the week will be the same time starting. What is today? The 11th. Starting August 14th. The week of August 14th, we will be moving back to a normal time, but I'll probably make a post before this even comes out.
Yeah.
But that's been going on. I've invested almost all of my financial stability in Magic the Gathering, and it's become it's become terrible. I'm quite
what color deck you got? What color deck?
So many. Hang on. Let me actually pull up my mana box right now. Yes, I have an app to keep track of all of my commander decks. No, I'm not a freaking nerd.
Hey, be proud.
Um, I've been dealing a lot with making Dimir decks. Those seem to be Dimir and Golgari, which for those of you who are not virgins, that is black and blue and black and green. I enjoy anything that involves the color black, just because there's so much more fun in Magic playing with those colors. With green, you get a lot of mana to summon more things. With blue, you get a lot more of the milling out your opponents and a lot more what I would just call more just vile debauchery with black and blue. That just seems to be the most fun. I made a deck where pretty much I mill everybody out and steal all their stuff, which is kind of the theme of that color in that deck. And I don't play to deal a lot of damage. I play politically. I pretty much try to be it. I pretty much try to be Emperor Palpatine, like Senator Palpatine, and then reveal myself.
Right. Get some damage. No, you get some damage.
It's not even that. It's just like I try to build allies and just mentally manipulate the board to until it's too late. Like, no, like, dude, like I'm the worst person to sit down and play with, but because I have this innate, like everybody's like, does everybody want to have fun? And I'm like, yes, but I have that innate thing in me where it's like, I want to win.
Like, screw your feelings. Yes,
right. It's like, do I want friends or do I want to play? But it's fun, you get to be creative. I apart from my stuff that I do in the music world, allowing myself to just kind of zone out and kind of have an endless possibility of whatever the hell I want to build in a card game, is pretty fun. I'm not like one of these sweat lords that play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon. I feel like I'm right up there in the cusp of nerd playing Magic the Gathering like a real man.
I feel it. I was like that with my game back in the day. I mean, I played Magic, but prior to that, it was Spellfire, which was a card game based on Dungeons and Dragons and all the different realms and settings for Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I built a dragon deck that straight up was banned because I used to do tournaments, and
nice.
They were noticing I was not losing at all. Period. I was undefeated. And it got to the point where they're like, you cannot play your dragon deck anymore. I was like,
you can't do it
because they can't beat you, because I had the elusive card that everyone was going for. I got it in my first starter pack. Is Bahamut, the god of all the dragons.
Okay.
You basically add up all the levels of all your dragon champions, all your dragon allies, all your dragon lands, and you add it to Bahamut's level, and it disperses it throughout. You can't beat me. You can't even approach me. You're just like dead.
It's really funny. Back in the day, like I started playing Magic, I want to say in like 2019. Like I got introduced to it. Like that was the beginning of the end. Like I've gone through so many addictions in my life so far. Like I have had a project car addiction, which I just sold my my project car actually a couple months ago, because like any, terrible addictive personality, I hold on to things way too long than I should. I had this project car for like 10 years, from like the time I was 19 till now. I finally just sold it and got the money to buy a new laptop, to kind of revamp the studio here a little bit, to make sure that everything's up to snuff. Because before I was coming up on, actually, I think I did actually use up all of my computer's memory to the point where I could not, it didn't matter what I deleted, what I took out, what I cleared, it just wasn't enough. And it was dead. It was a dead computer. So like I had to do something. And the right thing came along, sold this car, everything was great. But going back, I've had every addictive trait you could possibly have. I quit smoking last year, which was Not because I wanted to, because my doctor said I had to.
So sometimes that's all it takes, or that's what
Yeah.
it takes.
Well, yeah. It was, what was I doing? I was, because my last job last year was so stressful, I was actually smoking more than I ever had. And it just eventually was so much. I'm an epileptic, so it was just so much for my system to process that I ended up having like 4 seizures in a day.
Yeah.
I remember you telling us that.
Yeah, just with all the stress. So my doctor was like, "Do you smoke?" I was like, "Yes, a lot actually." He's like, "Yeah, you should stop doing that. That's it's not helping this situation at all." You know. So I was like, "Okay," just did that. Any kind of like shock to my body really just is not good. But did that, and now I'm addicted to pretty much. I play Magic the Gathering when I'm not doing anything metal related, or I'm not playing my bass guitar, I'm not working. So
At
it's
least
just
it's
kind
not
of
like, crack or meth or something.
I mean, listen, dude, I'm actually quite happy that it's not crack or meth or anything like
Right.
that, because I mean, it feels like it. It's just cardboard meth. That's really what it is. Because I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm not. The problem with me is like I'll think of a way to tweak what I'm building, like because I constantly have to improve, and I'll be like, oh, I could do this. Well, I don't own that, so I could buy it, and it's only X amount of dollars, and I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I should hold off. It never pans out that way. I mean, I just dropped some money today on. I'm working on trying to play colors that I haven't really played before in Magic. So it's just like
build an Armageddon deck. That was my jam.
I sort of almost have. I built a mono red where I love the fact that this is metal for the masses, and we're sitting here talking about Magic.
I'm just gonna say, welcome to the Obsidian Resurrection radio show. Here's John from Metal for the Masses.
Right, we're talking about
Magic
exactly what you came here for. Just what you wanted.
Love it. It's your fault, Danny.
Hey,
Look, yes, it's whatever. But no, I built a mono red deck, which is pretty much how I would describe this deck. Is the equivalent of, think of a 3.5-year-old standing right out of right out of your peripheral, but like just in like right up against you, their fingertip kind of right at your peripheral, saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you.
When I was a kid,
it pretty much the whole thing is I never physically attack you, but if I deal non-combat damage because of the commander, which is like the leader of my deck, any non-combat damage I deal is doubled. And so I have ways, like cards that normally would only deal like 2 damage now deal 4. Cards that deal 3 damage now deal 6. And when you only have 40 life, that'll pile up pretty fast. And it gets to a point where it's like I've played some pretty fun games with that. Probably the best one was actually a couple of weeks ago at my local comic book store, where some guy brought in a deck that its whole mechanic was flipping coins. And it was odd, but it worked. It actually gave me the win, because he played a card where it's like you flip a coin, you both have to get heads for this to resolve. If not, you both take 1 damage. But because the non-combat damage would be doubled, he was taking 2 every time we both didn't get heads. And so I ended up killing him and only taking 10 damage while he took 20. So it was it just worked out. It was hilarious. But you get fun games like that.
It worked, but it didn't work in his favor.
His deck got to do exactly what it's made to do, and I got to exploit it for myself.
Yeah. Right.
But it was fun. I mean, honestly, that's pretty much what I've been up to. I mean, I did talk earlier in the show. I have deep aspirations for fun. I'm a huge Misfits fan. I'm a huge like, you know, Ozzy Osbourne fan. I'm a huge
Motorhead.
Motorhead, you know, hard rock, metal, punk music. And the Misfits, especially, you know, Motorhead, Misfits, and those two bands really have been big inspirations for me to even pick up a bass guitar. As much as I hate Jerry Only as a vocalist, I love him as a bass player. And obviously Lemmy, you know, absolutely amazing. His stuff is very fun to play. Like if I just go back, I can play rock and roll. I can play back on the Funny Farm. Another Perfect Day is one of my favorite Motorhead albums, which is kind of controversial. A lot of people don't like that album, and I don't know why. I just say you have so many awesome tracks on there.
I don't see a problem with it.
I don't, but apparently in the Motorhead community, a lot of people like it's a very controversial album. I never knew that until until the most recent album came out, where they played that jazz festival, and they had the live version of I Got Mine, and all these people were like, in the comments section of that coming out was like, this is such like an odd album for them. It was very controversial. And I looked into it, and it's baffling because I don't know why, because it doesn't sound any different from any other Motorhead album you listen to. It keeps pace. It does the same thing. You know, it's not like Iron Maiden releasing Brave New World, you know. It's literally just like this. Literally just feels like Motorhead. But it's apparently it's an oddball album for them, but I love it. It's one of my favorites. I have a lot of nice tracks off of that album that over, you know, when COVID was a thing and I was losing my mind in my house and had nothing to do but sit and play my bass guitar, that was one of the albums I played. But I've been really inspired recently to try to start like a horror punk / horror hard rock band, just because I just think it would be very fun to do. I have like a couple song titles that I've come up with that I've jotted down in my notes that I've been trying to. I'm not the best writer per se. Like I don't have that innate ability that some musicians have, where it's like it just came to me and I can just write it and I can do that stuff. Like it just takes a long time, and I have to sit and process everything to kind of churn it out of my mind, because ADD is a bitch, because you'll try to focus on something and it just is like, why don't we look at this? What sound was that? What's going on? Focusing? No. So it comes and goes. I have my moments where I'll be like, all right, creativity. And then I'll have my moments where I'm just like, no. So it's kind of just at my leisure right now.
That's kind of just being a musician. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's but that's kind of where I'm at. Like I wanted to kind of have more done by the end of this year, but I have at least 3 titles that I want to work on. But
Is there anything, any of those titles you like to share with us here on the Obsidian Resurrection radio show?
The Obsidian Resurrection interview? No, I don't.
I said on the Obsidian Resurrection radio show. I feel like we reversed roles.
Yeah, you're interviewing me now. Which is
any song titles you want to share with us?
No, because I have nothing down yet. But I don't know. To answer your question, Danny, and take up way too much time.
I'm just playing, by the way. I'm enjoying this.
Right. That's what I've been up to, you know. And for anybody that tuned in to listen to me interview a band, which now turned into the band interviewing me. As you find out, I would love to sit here and talk about myself and what I do all the time. But this is about the Obsidian Resurrection, and this is about your band and not me and not what I do.
Well, what else can we say, Danny?
I'm waiting.
But where did we leave off?
I don't know. We can talk about your injury. I see the crutches in the background.
Oh yeah, that's my +2 back there.
Yep.
Work injury. Yeah, it's been about 7 months. Took them that long to figure out I have a broken kneecap. Yay for our healthcare system. Yeah.
Hey, man, California wanted to be like Europe.
Yeah. That's not going too well with that. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. Like, I thought it would be giving me more time to write bass and just mess around with my bass, but literally today is the only time I've touched my bass since my injury 7 months ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was fun today. Pulled
See,
it out.
I'm fortunate enough that like I literally will look at my bass guitar and have, I have to play it like right now kind of things. I actually just started for the first time ever diving into some Ramones. And
That's how I was until I finished recording for this album. Then I was like, hey, I'm done. And then I put the bass away and I was
the
like,
struggle's over.
yeah, I put the bass away. Then like a month went by. I was like, maybe I shouldn't put the bass away. Then a couple months went by. Then, yeah. Maybe I should get a stand so my bass is just staring at me because it's in my closet in the case.
Well, no, that's what I have. I have a stand. It actually sits right next to my TV in my room where
and it's just staring at you.
It's that like when I'm not sitting playing Xbox, it's just looking at me, and I'm just like, well, you know what? You convinced me. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
It's like you make a valid point.
Right. Yeah. But what else can we talk about? I mean, shit.
I think we've gotten everything out of the way. I mean, like hell, I've even talked about my crippling addictions. So, good Lord, this has been one. It's been one. I've gotten to know so much about you guys, and everybody's gotten to know a little bit more about me. So, what more can we do here on the Obsidian Resurrection radio show?
Yeah. I don't think there's any more we can really share, man. Honestly. Now we're just kind of it's just a waiting game now.
Yeah.
Allowing Carlos to start the whole mixing and editing process, and then going through those motions. You got to re-record this, you got to do that, or whatever. Whatever. I mean, I've never been this involved.
Yeah, he's right now. He's like balls deep in. I don't know. I'm sure you're familiar with some studio work, John, but what he's doing right now is he's going through each and every sound clip and sound file. Like for the drums, for Alex's drums, like he's got a fat list of his drum kit on these stems and files.
Yeah.
He's going through each snare hit, each tom hit, each cymbal, each bass drum, each this, each that, and cleaning every little thing up so it sounds pristine. We're wanting a really good production.
I'm fortunate when I edit, interviews like this, like what I'll eventually be doing over the, after this interview's done. Oh, no. Believe me, I'm keeping that. The more people get to know about my personal life, the better.
Nice.
I know that's why they tune in.
They might send you some magic cards.
Oh, dude, man, wouldn't that be great if I just abandon metal for the masses and it becomes magic for the masses?
Magic.
I'd still tune in.
I'd still actually
do both.
Today we are dealing with.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would be something. But no, I would never sell myself out to become one of those like YouTube shills that only talks about Magic the Gathering. I feel like that's when you've truly lost the way. Because metal, this is the way. Anyway.
You're saying something about editing and I interrupted.
What I was saying is it's just like I'm fortunate enough that when I eventually go to edit these interviews, my editing process is actually quite streamlined, and I don't have to go through bit by bit and all this stuff, because usually the only thing I have is just this sound file, and like I will turn some aspects up, I'll turn some aspects down. Like if somebody's like a little bit too far away from their microphone, like not super far away, but just far away enough that they're actually quieter than everybody else, or they're just not a loudspeaker to begin with. I've had those instances happen where like I have to go through the entire 30-minute, 40-minute, hour and a half interview and turn them up. I'll do that, and then I'll just take the
piggyback on that, man. Like, I love Steven from Sagen, but every time he's on your show, I'm like, what?
He's
very quiet.
he is and that's and even when you listen to the interview and you listen to it back, I've turned him up like to a point where it's just like I can't turn him up anymore, or else it's gonna sound like, he's gonna sound like a subway announcer. You know what I mean? It's just he's just gonna be like burp, 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 and it's just like I can't do it, And it's like, and it's nothing against him. Some people are just very like, soft-spoken people, and that's just the way they talk. And I can't sit here and be like, can you please speak up? I can't hear you. But I'm just fortunate enough that I only have essentially 2 audio files to work with. I work with the main interview audio file and the imaging, that I put at the intro and pretty much the intro outro of the interview. And then I just mix everything down and go from there. I'm sure that it will happen eventually, but I've never had like a true instance where everything got fucked up, which is good. But that's why I knocked on my wooden desk here, because this would probably be the one where it's like, oh well, I wasn't recording this entire time. It stopped recording. But
I was gonna say, I don't even want to think about or imagine the amount of files Carlos is going through. I mean,
if he's using either Audacity or like Adobe Audition, which is editing software that I use. I don't know what he uses, if he's like more of a professional studio. I mean, I'm sure he has something that even myself, I would be like, oh, what the fuck? Like, this is amazing.
Pro Tools.
Gotcha. Like how I do it, like just going file by file. It is such a long process, and it's you have to be meticulous with it. You have to be very, slow and almost perfect with everything, because you want everything to be a solid product. Because if he doesn't do everything correctly, you'd hear it. That's the best part about, being a band, is if something's mixed like shit, you're going to hear it,
Yeah.
Like if you were talking right now and you had, for instance, a giant fan that was making a sound in the background, that I'd have stopped. It's not. I would have stopped this interview and we would have started from the beginning. I would have been like, can you please turn that fucking fan off? But or some people have their windows open in the background. You'll hear like a city bus or a truck or something go by, and then that just I can't. It's like, well, that's there. That's there now.
Yeah,
it's just, that's how it is. Editing is probably one of the more boring parts of this kind of stuff, writing music and doing interviews, because I enjoy talking to bands. I enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy talking to all the bands that I've talked to, since starting Metal for the Masses.
Well, thank you.
And like, right. And you know what? Metal Incorporated, Josh, has been like a big part of that. I a lot of bands I don't think that I would have been able to come in contact with without you starting Metal Incorporated. And I don't think that a lot of bands would be in Metal Incorporated if not, like, if Metal for the Masses hadn't found them and pointed them in your direction.
Yeah, you got me introduced to a lot of them, and hell, a couple of them have signed to Metal Incorporated as a label.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, not to completely make this not about the Obsidian Resurrection. I mean, I know that that's been a big thing that's happened now. That Metal Incorporated now is now part of like what, Soda Records?
Yeah, we've merged with Soda Records, or I've merged with Soda Records on a subdivision of his label. We're publicly, we have 5 bands that have already signed that we've announced. We got 2 or 3 more we're going to announce soon, and then I'm kind of talking to each band in the group individually as time goes on, and it's up to them if they want to sign.
Now, are you seeing any kind of like monetary kickback from any of that?
It's all going straight back into the label.
Gotcha. But you are.
Huh?
But you are. It's just it's not going into your pocket. It's going back into the label.
It's going right back to the label. It's going for promoting, going towards adding new services, which we're going to have a lot more to offer soon if everything pans out. It's everything that we see the bands get their percentage of, and then what we make goes right back into building up the label to make it better.
Well, whenever I can sell out and, you know, become owned by a record label, let me know.
You never know, man. You never know.
I'd love to. Give me label money, please.
I would love it if this is something that can make it so that I don't have to go to work anymore. Well, hell, now that I got busted leg, and hopefully I can work from home.
7 years of going to college so I can look at this diploma hanging on my wall. I've gotten
my diploma.
I've gotten no financial return on this. Metal for the Masses is completely free. I am the only one paying for it. You know, maybe I should start charging bands. Who knows? Who knows?
You want to come on my show?
Right. Do you know who I am?
Mhm.
I am some prick on the internet. It's like, do you know that I'm some prick on the internet?
Look, I play Magic the Gathering, okay? I could be doing that now, but I'm interviewing you. My time is precious.
My time is precious. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to say it. But anyway,
So now I'm curious.
no, I was going to say, you know, my comic book store does do Friday Night Magic, and here I am on a Friday night interviewing yous guys.
Mhm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
no, I'd rather be here. Honestly, it's a lot more. It's a lot calmer than going into it, because there's some days where you'll go in and you'll just absolutely have what I do call these people sweat lords, like basement dwelling sweat lord mouth breathers that will come in, and it's just like, you don't win money, you like win a pack of cards if you win at your pod. And you'll just have some people that will come in and just have the most competitive, like tournament style deck
Mhm.
at all. I've actually cussed a nerd out before. It's it was glorious. Like I think it was, you know what? I was actually in like my full like Metal Gear attire. Like I think I did have, it was like in the winter. Like last year, I had like my hoodie, my patch jacket, everything. And this dude just was a jerk off at the table, and I just completely like stood up. And I was so out of place with my attire, you know, because everybody else is like, you know, Pokemon shirt, like all this like nerd attire. And here I am, just this dude, patch jacket, everything. It's like, you know what?
Allow me to put the fear of God in you, son.
Right. Allow me to scare the ever living shit out of. This is why you get no pussy. You know? No, I'm kidding. I really love that that's going to be on an interview now. Anyway, but yeah, I think that is I think that's it. I think we got everything that we need. But if
Cool.
if I'm missing anything from you guys, please, you know, fill me in
Let's
right
see,
now.
let's go down the checklist. Music's done. Song lyrics done. Song title's done. We just can't say anything. Album title's done. Just can't say anything. It's in the studio getting edited and mixed, getting ready for mastering. Guitars are getting recorded. Vocals will be after that. Artwork is done. Album layout, we got my friend Brian, his company Stone Graphics is going to be doing that when it's ready.
I think that's it.
Featured from Costa writing guitar solos. Dirty Viking Audio. I think we're done.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
That's it.
All right. Well, it's been great. It's been great sitting down and talking to you guys. It's
Yeah,
Hopefully on the next one, we'll actually be able to tell you more, you know, be closer.
hopefully, because
Afterwards, after it's released.
for the first time, I actually have no way of saying it's like, this is the Obsidian Resurrection and their album, blah, 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 is going to be released soon.
Blah, blah,
Right.
blah.
Is what all I can say right now. So this has been the Obsidian Resurrection. Their album that we can't talk about yet is going to be released soon.
Yeah.
Get hype. Soon being used very broadly. We're hoping not by next April, because if it is by next April, Josh is quitting the band. And if he does quit the band, expect another interview on why he quit the band. Yeah, just that'll be the next Obsidian Resurrection episode. Either the album's out or Josh is out.
Josh is done.
This man's flipping over tables like I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
But Josh, Danny, thank you so much for being here.
Yep.
Me.
Thank you.
Danny, thank you for interviewing me. It was a pleasure to be here
Absolutely.
on your
We'll do it again next time.
Yep. Next time.
Just
on
trying
Metals.
to get those Magic the Gathering cards in the mail.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. I actually do have Magic the Gathering cards coming in the mail right now. I'm telling you, it's a crippling addiction. Don't start it if you haven't, you know.
You're just digging your hole deeper, man.
Listen, it used to be like, you know, it used to be the Triforce. Now it's just two. It used to be, you know, nicotine, cars, and magic. Now it's just cars and magic.
Nice.
And actually, no, I replaced nicotine with music. So you know what? I'm out of the hole and back in the hole. So yeah, it's great. Anyway, guys, it's been awesome. Hoping to hear your new album that we can't talk about when it comes out soon. And also, if it's not out, looking to hear about your next adventure, whatever it might be, Josh. I think that sounds about right. Right?
Yeah.
That's a good closer.
All right. Gentlemen,
All right, guys.
y'all have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, John.